Reason is the ability of the mind to think, understand, and form judgments by a process of logic. It's innate, exclusive to human ability. It utilizes new or existing information as basis to consciously make sense out of things. It also applies logic associated with thinking, cognition, and intelligence. Impartiality is manifesting objectivity for the quality of being unbiased and objective in creating moral decisions. These moral decisions are relative to the welfare of the majority and not for specific people alone. Why are reasons and impartiality the minimum requirements for morality? It's basic prerequisite for morality, as one is expected to be able to deliver clear, concise, rightful and appropriate judgments made from logic and understanding. Unbiased and unprejudiced manner while considering the general welfare to accurately create moral decisions. We have the 7-step moral reasoning model. Number 1. Relevant facts. It must contain factual evidence. Number 2. Ethical issues. Broad, systemic, corporate, or even personal issues. Number 3. Primary stakeholders affected by the ethical decision. And number 4. Possible alternatives. For number 5. Ethics of each alternative. How will each affect the stakeholders? Apply the philosophies. Number 6. Practical constraints to the implementation. And lastly, which alternative should be taken? Now, we must remember, we cannot rely on our feelings, no matter how powerful they might be. Our feelings may be irrational and may be nothing but products of prejudice, yes, selfishness, or cultural conditioning. But our decision must be guided as much as possible by reason. The morally right thing to do is always the thing best supported by the arguments. We also need to remember that we are human, both with a heart and a mind. If these two things combine, surely nothing could be left misaligned.
Nakailang committee hearings na, ang binabanggit palagi, puro ayuda. Pinagsisigawan na ng mga manggagawa, itaas nyo yung sahod. Bibigyan nyo yung mga manggagawa, 1,500 na ayuda. Anong klaseng pambabastos yan? Parang namamalimos yung mga manggagawa. Kung bibigyan nyo ng ayuda ang mga manggagawa ng 1,500, ang kawagan yan, 50 pesos per day. Tanungin ko kahit sino.
Alas mauwi mo 300 lang araw-araw.
Bubuhay ng 50 pesos.
Good day everyone, but as you all know, the prices of gasolina is steadily increasing due to the raging war that is happening on the Middle East. Hence, this is not only affecting the prices of transportation, but also the prices of basic goods is also increasing as well. This is why I gather you in order to find the most suitable, fair, and rational decision we can make for the best of our country.
Mr. President,
In making decisions, one important approach is the consequentialist approach. This means that we judge actions based on their outcomes or consequences. In this scenario, we will explore 3 types: utilitarian, egoistic, and common good approach, and how they guide decision-making during a national crisis.
if we're going to base our decision based on the consequences, we need to carefully evaluate on which option will provide the most benefits to the greatest number of people while minimizing the harm. Okay, from a utilitarian perspective,
The utilitarian approach focuses on achieving the greatest good for the greatest number of people. In the context of pricing gas prices, this means choosing a solution that benefits the majority, even if it involves certain costs or sacrifices.
the best decision that we can have is that kung saan mas maraming tao makikinabang. Given the situation, I would recommend the fuel subsidies and transportation support. Yes, it will cost a lot sa government, especially sa budget, but it will ease the burden of the millions of the commuters, especially the workers. So in this case, even by short-term loss sa budget ng government, the overall benefits to the society is greater. However, if we're going to look at it from the egoistic approach,
The egoistic approach focuses on self-interest. In decision-making, this can mean prioritizing what benefits a specific group, such as the government or the nation itself. Here, the question becomes, what decision will best protect our country's stability?
the focus will shift to the national interest. We must protect our country's economic stability. This means that we're going to limit the subsidies and prioritize the national budget, or we're going to prioritize the budget control. It will also avoid the long-term financial crisis. In short, the question will be, what decision will benefit the countries the most, even if it's mean na hindi lahat ng tao matutulungan agad. Lastly, from a common good perspective,
The common good approach emphasizes what is beneficial for everyone in the long run. It focuses on shared systems like public services, infrastructure, and social conditions that support the well-being of all.
the goal is balance. We should invest on the long-term solutions like improving the transportation system or exploring alternative energy sources. In this way, hindi lang natin ina-address yung current problems. We're also preventing the long-term financial crisis. Okay? So, it's not just about surviving the current problems, but it's about strengthening the system for everyone.
Oh, thank you for that feedback. So basically, you're saying that we should prioritize the greatest good for our country, or even the self-interest of the state. But could there be another way to look at this?
Can I say something, Mr. President?
Please go ahead.
As a representative of non-consensual series, which wherein hindi tayo tumitingin masyado sa resulta, I suggest that we should take a look at this issue in a duty-based approach. So it just means that, you see, Mr. President, in the ontological ethics, which is associated with Immanuel Kant, actions are ethical only if it is based on duty. So this means that we should not look at the results of our decisions on the oil hike, but rather we should do what is right precisely because it is our obligation as a government. So these obligations are universal and discovered through reason. So it just means that if it is our obligation to protect the welfare of those vulnerable, then we must do it, not because, regardless of the budget cost.
But hindi ba yung mahihirapan to implement for everyone?
That's where the rights approach will come in, sir. So this stipulates that the best action is the one that protects the ethical rights of everyone affected. Every citizen has the right to dignity, right, sir? So based on Kant's categorical imperative, it says that act in such a way that you treat humanity always as an end and never simply as a means to an end. This just means that we cannot treat our citizens as a means or just numbers in an economic graph. Lastly, sir, we must consider the fairness or the justice approach. Following the work of John Rawls, sir, it just means that if we're going to back in a starting line of total equality, wherein with not knowing if we'd be rich or poor, what rules would be agreed upon? Aren't we going to set the rules where there is fairness for everyone? Sir, I'm claiming that that is the principle that we need right now, facing the crisis. It just means that we cannot let the weight of oil prices crush our poor people and while the wealthy ones are remaining unaffected. That is not just policy flaws. That is an injustice, sir.
Sa madaling sabi, hindi ito tungkol sa kita o sa resulta, but with our inherent duty and the rights of the people.
Exactly, sir. We do it because it is right, not because it is convenient.
Mr. President, I believe that you would like these proposals that I prepared.
Go on.
Well, presenting to you the agent-centered approach. This approach, it not only focuses on the rightness or the wrongness of a person's action based on its consequences, but rather it also focuses on the agent's moral character and to how extensive they have developed these virtuous habits. And while I prepare all of this is that the agent-centered approach, they have its two types. The virtue approach and also the feminist approach, in which I will discuss to you. First, Mr. President, is the virtue approach. This is focuses on the cultivating the high moral character of a person. We have this question, what kind of person should I be? And it's not just about following rules or calculating consequences. I would like to give an example about this, about Aristotle. Aristotle, Mr. President, argued that we should be concerned with the wholeness of a person, not with them as an individual, but because of the discrete actions that they may have performed in any given situation. So, if we took this virtue approach with the lens of the issue right now with the oil prices, I am encouraging you, Mr. President, to deliberate your decisions with the ideal human virtues, and to deliberate them with considering the prudence, integrity, and the generosity that we will be showing for the Filipino people. And now let's move on with the feminist approach. It is only similar with the virtue approach, that it focuses on the totality of a human life and also how this life come to influence the way we make the ethical decisions. This approach not only focuses on the wholeness, but also it emphasizes the importance of the experiences of women and other marginalized groups to ethical deliberations. So when we apply this feminist approach is that the public transport drivers are part of the marginalized groups, in which most of them, on their population, they are married and have families to feed. So in this approach, we're moving towards understanding the unique and specific circumstances of the involved individual on this, by ensuring that their perspectives, the perspectives of the public transport drivers are heard, and also we aim for the political change to end the marginalization. Once again, Mr. President, I'm asking you to carefully consider every aspect of every option that we've just presented.
Of course, I will. As your
In every organization, especially the government, a structured approach is important in making a decision. According to the framework for ethical decision making, we must move systematically. First, we identify the problem and collect facts. Then, we reflect on the outcomes and explore options, and most importantly, weigh those options using different ethical lenses before deciding. All throughout the video, we have seen President Lagaw use this very model to handle a national crisis.
President, it is my duty and responsibility to lead our framework deliberation. We have already identified the problem, which is the US-Iran crisis and its impact on oil prices, and we have collected the facts. Masyado mabilis ang pagtaas at umaaray na ang publiko, lalo na mga public transportation drivers. And lastly, we have established that the minimum requirements for morality are reason and impartiality. As a leader, I must be impartial. All of your points are actually valid. Using utilitarianism and egoism, we see the benefits of the majority and my own stability. But the virtue approach reminds me that my character is on the line. I see now that I can just follow self-interest. We need to go back to step 4 and weigh options carefully before we move to the next step. Deciding that as we assess and find a solution that balances the most good with a virtuous choice.